Akwe, greetings, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to the beautiful Mohegan Sun Casino. My name's Bruce, Nisnatea they call me, two dogs, Bozsum. I was the chairman for 8 years here at Mohegan Sun and on the board of directors for another 5 or 6, which felt like 30, but we won't talk about that. It's been great, and I'm here to welcome you all to this beautiful place, and I want to thank V for inviting me to say a few words and let me have an opportunity to start your day off with what we call a Mohegan ceremonial blessing and a welcome in our language. And we're very proud of who we are and our heritage. And we like to offer what we do in a normal day to be shared with you and what I do. I'm also a pipe carrier, so I'm a religious person for the tribe. Also, as many of the hats I wear as chairman and board member, and that is probably the most important thing that I do in my life, is representing my tribe with the ceremonial person that I am. So if you don't mind, if you could rise just for a moment, I'd like to offer a blessing and a prayer. Owisawankanak manto, anyawe pakasat, manto mashikit manto, katapa tamayamom salme, wame masayak, katapa tamayamom salme, wikikosh napawiak, mando wiko, Kinota nip anako ben mato, katabanish, owachi kakunigin, mando wigo, niayo. Creator, almighty Creator, we're all before you today, Creator. We thank you for all the good things you have given us. We thank you for all the good things that will come. We thank you for this beautiful day, Creator. God is great. Tape, thank you. Please be seated. So again, thank you, V, for putting this together and inviting all of us here. You're a great woman. I love what you do. You're such a powerful woman, and that is great for me to see. In Native culture, the women in our tribes are the most powerful. I know, let me explain this in the correct way. So you think about back in the old days in Native America, we were out there doing our hunting, doing our things, but the most important person to us in our life was our mothers, our grandmothers, and our wives back home taking care of everything. Without the support of them, without their knowledge of carrying us through the next day, we would not be here today. So what you do is a great thing too, V. You are out there working hard, and I appreciate everything you do. And I'm unemployed right now if you want to hire me, by the way. Just saying. But I'm here today to introduce Mike McKelvy from Gilbane. They've done a lot of work here at Mohegan. Great company, great guy. If you get a chance to see our government center building up on the hill, Gilbane is the company that built that for us, and it's the most beautiful thing that I can say we have on the reservation. It's the great Chief Ralph Sturgis. Some of you may know him when he was still alive. He asked me to do something before he passed, and that was to build a government center. We had built everything we could for the community, for the employees, for the business. One thing we didn't have was a place for all Mohegans to gather. Our government center, I call it our capital. And it's a beautiful building, and Gilbane, that's the company that did a lot of work on there. It's a beautiful building. But let me introduce Michael McKelvy to say a few words today to everybody. Michael?
Good afternoon. Thanks, V, for reaching out and committing me to this. I asked her earlier, I said, what do you want me to speak about? And so she started giving me this list of things, and I said, well, I'm just going to speak about whatever I want to speak about. And for me, one of the things that I like to do if I've got anybody in front of me, and actually I think I did this before at MCC, is I talked about the importance of learning how to do CPR and use an AED. You know, and that's one of the things that I'm kind of loony on. My company, everybody works in Gilbane. I'm probably, when I go away, they're going to put a little plaque somewhere for me and say that he was crazy about learning how to do CPR. My wife mentioned to me, and my wife is the most powerful person in our household, going back to what you said. she said, when we went out to this meeting the other day, you carried an automated external defibrillator with you to the meeting, and don't you think you're a little bit nuts? And she was right, I did. So we had a big meeting of some of our folks in Chatham, Mass, and I called ahead, and they didn't have an AED on the property. So I got one and took it with me, had it in my trunk of my car. And I wasn't sure whether we had one here on the property or not. Well, as it turns out, we've got 27 AEDs here on the property. We actually have 28 because I brought mine with me, like I always do. And the topic that I wanted to kind of thread through today, your brochure that came with the meeting says Roadmap to Success. Gilbane's been in business since 1873. That's a long, long roadmap. And when you look at that time frame, there was a Great Depression, there were deaths in the family ownership, there were transitions between generations, wars, everything you can think about. So what was the thread that kept the company in business? For you, if you have a small business, if you have a business that's just getting off the ground, and some of you talking to me earlier said, well, we were just getting started a couple of years ago. We were just finding our footing. We were figuring out where we wanted to go, what we wanted to do with unions and all that kind of thing. We were testing the waters. So when you test the waters and you want to do something with someone like us or one of our competitors, what are some of those threads to success on that roadmap that you really have to pay attention to, or there's not going to be as much of a chance of success? So I was thinking about that this week and in last week as well, and then something happened this week that totally changed my thinking on what I was going to say today. And I think life's that way. Sometimes something happens and you don't think it's going to happen, and then when it happens, it totally reframes your world, at least for a day or two, and sometimes for the rest of your life. So if you want to work with a contractor like Gilbane, one of the things we ask is that you have an EMR of 1.0 or better from a safety perspective, right? That's a great statistic. It's a lagging indicator. It says that you have a commitment. But what does that commitment mean? And I've had people tell us, when we work with Gilbane, you guys hold us to a higher standard of safety. Those are big subcontractors. Often a general contractor we might joint venture with, we have to make sure that there's a meeting of the minds from a safety culture perspective. And our safety value, we call it Gilbane Cares. It's a core value for the company, and it goes all the way from how we wear and what protective equipment we wear to our people giving money for flood relief in Houston or in Florida or in Puerto Rico, or our Las Vegas office doing what they could for the victims in Las Vegas. It transcends that broad spectrum. But what does it mean to you? Well, I actually wrote down some notes from what I'm going to talk about. There's 5 here, maybe 6. Today's Friday the 13th. So I don't know, where Friday the 13th came from. 1,000 years ago, a bunch of Knight Templar guys were running around, and all of a sudden something happened to them that they weren't expecting, right? They all got rounded up. Nobody thought they were going to get rounded up. It was an unforeseen event. Well, I talk a lot about leadership, and I tell people that luck is when opportunity and preparation meet. You've heard that before. So it's not necessarily an unexpected event. You open your eyes to opportunities, you prepare yourself the best way you can, and then those two things happen, and you step through the door, and it's great. So what is unluck? If you're lucky and that means you had opportunity and preparation that met together, unluckiness is when maybe opportunity and a lack of preparation meet. So that can be applied to whether it's the Knight Templars 1,000 years ago, or it could be applied to what you might do in terms of preparing to work and grow your company. You have an opportunity, but yet we're asking, someone's asking you to do things or to show experience or to show qualifications or to show a mindset that you haven't really thought about. So then it doesn't turn out to be luck, it turns out to be unluck, lack of success because there was a lack of preparation. But I want to bring it back to that safety thread and that EMR 1 requirement to work with larger contractors. At Gilbane, we have something called our non-negotiables for safety. And I'd be lying to you if I told you that every one of our projects around the country are perfect with respect to our non-negotiables. So what are our non-negotiables? Reflective wear on the top, hard hat, safety glasses, mandatory glove use with a level 4 cut glove as the standard, protective toe boots, you know, those kind of things, right? That's our protective equipment list. So if you were going to come to a Gilbane job site and your crew didn't have gloves or were wearing tennis shoes or didn't have a hard hat, you would not be prepared for that opportunity. And it would be tough for us to say that your experience modification rating, your EMR, actually matched what we were seeing from you. Now you might say, well, Mike, that's pretty obvious. Everybody wears a hard hat, everybody has boots, everybody wears gloves, but actually they don't, right? The smaller projects, they don't need to. I was at a building this morning for a meeting at 9 o'clock. Small contractor was doing some renovation work there. Nobody had a hard hat on, nobody had glasses on, nobody had gloves on, tennis shoes. One guy standing on top of the top rung of a 6-foot step ladder. Many things that would disqualify them from working on one of our job sites. So when you look at your own safety program, and you look at, and I'm not just talking construction, because safety applies to consulting, design, project management, whatever you might be doing. When you look at your own program, do people know what's expected of them? Would that program dovetail with a larger contractor that you might team up with? The great thing about safety is that we want everyone to be safe. So if you don't know what a mature program looks like, whether it's Gilbane or someone else, we'll help you. We'll tell you what it needs to be. We'll train you. We'll give you the information and the connections in order to get there. But what's that purpose? What's that purpose of all this stuff, the safety part of that roadmap to success? The purpose is to keep people alive, right? Because we are in a dangerous world, whether that world is things that are terrible that happen outside that we hear about in the news in Vegas and Europe and other places, or whether it's things that happen on a job site. So this week, we had a fatality at a job site. We haven't had a fatality on a construction site at Gilbane for, I think, 7 years. And then that one, I think, was a suicide. But still, it's been many, many years since we had a fatality. Been so long that our leadership had never experienced going through the motions of what you go through when that happens on a job site. the media, OSHA, the questions, and the interrogations from the police, all those things, the dealing with the family. So this man, his name is Joe. Joe, he went to work that day, Wednesday. He had worked for one of our subcontractors for 22 years. He's 56 years old, divorced with a couple of kids. You think he thought he was going to die? I didn't think he was going to die. I mean, our job site, we thought we were doing everything right. Now, the point of my story is not that despite our best efforts, something happened. The point of my story is that there's a reason that we ask everybody to do some of these things from a safety perspective. Sometimes big companies, we say, do this, and we were telling people earlier, fill out your qualifications on our iBid Pro tool, and then we can pull you up anywhere. And and I know that some of that stuff is a pain in the ass. I know that it is. You got to fill out all this crap, and then you don't know whether you're going to get an opportunity from that or not. And then safety, oh yeah, there's another bunch of rules that they want us to fill out. But it does make a difference. So Joe was a welder, and he stepped outside of a door, and a second later, a 3-foot by 5-foot concrete panel 4 floors above had fallen and hit him on the head. And he was killed. We're going back and we're trying to figure out how that happened, what we could do differently, what he could do differently, what the subcontractor could do differently. And something good will come from that, as tragic as it is. But it was a reminder for me that what we do is serious. What we do in engineering, design, architecture, construction, it's a serious business. If you're a designer, if you don't design by code, things can burn quicker than they should. People can get trapped in a dead-end corridor. There's life and death issues with design, just like there is with construction. Construction, we often think the danger begins when we step onto the job site, and it ends when we walk off the job site. But it's probably more dangerous driving home from the job site in many cases. And what do? We pull out that phone, right? You ever done that? Hope not. But it's there. It's a temptation, right? To answer that call, phone chirps. It's my daughter texting me. Got to look at it, right? So I think that if I was a small enterprise and I was in charge of the future of that enterprise, excuse me, I would look at safety as somewhat that thread that I could emulate my discipline and my passion for safety, and that could be also the way we would approach lean in our business. It could be the way we approach even the discipline on accounting, the way we approach the discipline in qualification statements, and the way we approach the discipline in hiring the best people and dealing with issues. Because if you can transform your culture around keeping people safe and that commitment, then you can make your company actually anything you want it to be by applying that same discipline. I forget that sometimes. This fatality this week was a wake-up call for everyone in our company. We stood down every job site, even the ones we're doing for the U.S. military in Saudi Arabia and Israel, Japan, and Korea. We had to stand down to talk about watching out for falling objects. Because we don't usually walk around looking up for falling objects. But if you have the right protective equipment on, you have a greater chance of surviving something like that than not. So why should you, in a small business perspective, why should you really invest in this thread of safety that I said can be transcended into other things? Well, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. In this time when everything you read or you hear is divisive and everyone is against everyone and you're either on one side or the other of every particular argument, we can all be on the side of keeping people alive and keeping people safe. And when we team together, when we work together, and that's one of our primary objectives, it's amazing how many other things are not that big a deal when we have that commitment to each other. It's the right thing. It's the right thing to do. I think that if you have that right commitment to safety, you can fight above your weight. You ever heard that term where you're in a fight and you really shouldn't be in the fight? You shouldn't be competing in that project. It's really too big for us, right? We don't have that experience. Maybe we've just got one project. We don't really know that we can do that. But if what you do is safe and what you do is consistent, that qualification and keeping people incident and injury free can actually elevate you a little bit, and you can fight above your weight. The other thing, I think, it raises your game. Have you ever gone to work for somebody new? You've been working somewhere for several years, and then you get that new job. What happens? You realize you were kind of comfortable where you were before. And so now you got to raise your game. Okay, everybody knew me where I was before. They knew that I take a break at this time. They knew that I get in at 8:30 because my daughter has to be dropped off at school, and they know I got to leave by 5:15 because the train leaves at 5:30. Well, you get in that new job, you got to raise your game a little bit. Well, if I've said anything about safety that doesn't apply to your world, maybe you've rationalized that any boots are good. I don't need to wear gloves. I'm not actually doing anything. Come on, some of you thought that. You had to think that. I'm not actually doing anything, so I don't have to do that. Well, it raises your game. Quick story. We were doing a project for a National Institute of Health, NIH, down in the DC metro area. Job was just about finished. And it was punch list time and, just doing some cleanup. And so because it was a hospital lab R&D space, they had to keep it clean. So when you walked into the lab space, there was a tacky mat there and a box with little blue booties to put over your shoes, right? So you didn't track in dirt, and we've been cleaning it and everything. So when I go to a job site and I'm being toured around, it seems like I'm being toured around with an entourage of people. I never can sneak through a job site by myself. There's all these people that want to walk around the job site with me. So there's like 5 of us, and I'm walking around with 5 people, and we step onto the tacky mat, and I said, don't we need to put on booties? So, of course, our project leader there says, oh, it's okay, Mike. You don't have to put the booties on. Your shoes are clean. Like my shoes don't get dirty, Anyway, so we step into the lab, the 5 of us, without our booties on, and a subcontractor walks through with his booties on, a leather tool belt, and he stops in front of us, and he says, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 big shots, and nobody with booties on. Well, what the hell am I doing wearing booties? And so he takes his booties off, throws them on the floor, and walks off. Now, booties are not life and death, okay? But what happens when you've been trying to get that guy on the job site who is always taking his safety glasses off, and he's always putting them in his pocket or hanging them on his shirt, and somebody in your company is continually reminding him to wear his safety glasses, and then you decide to tour the owner, the architect, the building official, some other person that you don't want to upset. You're touring them around the job site, and they're wearing street shoes, no safety glasses, a little baby hard hat that they found in the trailer, you know, and that guy who you've been bugging to wear that stuff, he looks at that. I guess it really isn't that important, is it? So what you do speaks so loudly that they can't hear what you say. So not a big deal to get people that aren't actually doing physical labor to be good examples of what should happen on a job site. But that's a challenge to each and every one of us, right? I was at a job site in Austin, Texas on Wednesday. Didn't think I was going to the job site, thought I was just going to a client meeting. Had on shoes, did not take my steel-toed boots with me because I wasn't going to the job site. And as soon as the meeting was over, let's go do a site tour. So there's this little devil, you know, inside of me, right? This little devil, he's sitting right there, and he says, "You can walk the job site, Mike. It's okay. You're the president of the company. It's all right you didn't bring your boots. Nobody's going to care. It's okay. Just walk the job site." So I'm sitting up here talking to you, right? So, and something inside of me said, "No, I can't. I'll do a windshield tour. I'll look from the trailer out at, you know, and you guys, I don't have the right PPE. Can't go out there." So that difference between having the courage to do the right thing consistently and then be that example for everyone that works with you and everyone that works for you, then it starts to permeate to all the subcontractors, the craft labor, everybody on the site. Well, I said there's some reasons to do this. One was it's the right thing. Others, it raises your game. You fight above your weight. Probably the last thing, it is the last thing, and it's definitely not the first reason to do it, but it is a reason. It makes the job site more productive, makes the schedule go quicker, makes the environment better for everybody working on the job site, and you actually make more money. So if you really have no heart, and we got to give you a heartless reason, there's your reason. You make more money if the job site's safer. So that fatality this week, I can remember in my career every person that's died on a job site in my organizational control throughout the years. And in every case, it was something that we knew to do that was not done at that particular moment. I don't know what happened on this one, why this panel fell from a JLG. I don't know the reasons for it. But anybody can say nobody should have been standing under that JLG. And I think about how many times I've walked a construction site and I have been in that same scenario where something was occurring overhead and somebody grabbed me and said, "Wait a minute, Mike, you shouldn't be standing there." Sometimes they don't say that. Sometimes I feel bits of masonry or something hitting me on my shoulder, you know, and realize that there's a guy repointing the masonry up above, and it's just sloughing off on me, and we didn't have it taped off or whatever appropriately, or maybe I'd come out the wrong door, and I had gone around a barricade without knowing it. So when you look back on those, and you will have those times in your life, whether it's a loved one who goes into cardiac arrest, and you're wondering who in your family knows how to do CPR, and or maybe you know how to do CPR, and maybe you don't have the courage to do it. Isn't there supposed to be a plastic thing I put over their face because I don't want them to throw up on me? I'll just wait to see if somebody else does it. Or it'll be a time when you're in that taxi and the taxi driver's texting while he's driving through New York City. Do you have the courage to tell him to stop? Do you have the courage to say, let me out? How many times have you gotten on an airport shuttle bus at the Hilton Garden Inn and you don't put the seatbelt on? Because buses are magic. They never have an accident. You see what I mean? There's crazy things that we do. And it's when you do those crazy things, like taking the glove off when you're using a power tool, or the glasses fog up too much, I'm going to take those off. Or I don't need to wear that hard hat because nothing's happening in here. It's an interiors project. All those excuses cause that opportunity and lack of preparation to really be something that's catastrophic. Well, I think you've all got the greatest opportunity of all, because you've got companies like ours and others that want to help you get to that next level with respect to incident and injury-free. If you don't have a clue, we'll help you. We want you to be there. We want your people to go home safely. And so the example we had this week, where it was a wake-up call for us, and we're pretty safe. We're safer than a lot of people, and our discipline is greater than a lot of people, but still yet something happened. Let our wake-up call be your wake-up call. Let our moment of just extreme sadness and compassion this week be something that you can avoid. I don't wish that you ever have to go through that. And in every case, as I said, in every case in my career where someone has died or been seriously injured, it could have been prevented. And we knew what to do, or they knew what to do, or the subcontractor knew what to do, and they decided not to do it that day because of all those human frailties that we have that make us think we're invincible and that we can do it. Friday the 13th. So I ran into a gentleman in the elevator, and we were talking about Friday the 13th. He said his sister was born on Friday the 13th, actually on Friday the 13th. And I said, well, I'm sure she's nice. And he said, no, she's not. I got to give a shout out to our crew in Connecticut and New England. Last night at the AGC Awards, for the Connecticut AGC Awards, John Hawley, many of you know John Hawley, who's the head of our Glastonbury office. He won Construction Manager of the Year. And then Dennis Mullen, who is our overall safety director for New England, also got Safety Manager of the Year. So we got a great crew here. Most of you know them. They want to do the right thing. They want to help you, want to work with you. And I think when I talked before, when I met V, one of the things I said was, don't be afraid to step out there and make a connection and step on a limb and try to make something happen for your company. Well, the same thing is true with respect to this thread of safety, this roadmap of success, that lifeline that you hold on to that'll get you there. Make sure you have a lifeline to hold on to in your company. Make sure you have that compass. If you know where the compass is pointing, you can get there. And then once you see how easy it is to transform yourself and your company and even your family with respect to trying to do the right thing to keep people safe, then, as I said, you can apply it to other things. Profitability, business development systems. It's all a discipline. but start with the easy one. The easy one is keeping us safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It was very nice to hear your story and to remind us how important safety is. There are some good things that are born on Friday the 13th, May 13th, 1960. And I'm nice. Just ask my brother. He'll tell you. Don't ask my brother. So, roadmap to success. Yes, 13 is a great number, and I have a lot of 13 connections here. Born on Friday the 13th. I'm 13 generations from a man, Uncas, who died 334 years ago. This town is named after Uncas. He's my grandfather. I'm 13 generations from him. And he taught us all back then to look ahead 13 generations. So any decision that I've made here, that we make here in the tribe, we don't do it overnight. We don't do it in a week. We don't do it in a month. We have to think so far ahead for our grandkids, great-grandkids, people we're never going to meet. But that's all of our decisions are made with 13 generations going forward. There's 13 moons in the calendar. So 13 moons to my tribe is very important. We do our planting, our hunting, all by the moons. For 13 years, I've had 3 friends that I met 13 years ago here, V being one of them. Karen was here that day. And the next guy I'd like to introduce, Dr. Fred McKinney. So 13 years we've been together. Fred, and with that I bring up Fred.
Well, good afternoon. I have a 13 also. My father was one of 13 children. So, you know, there's an African saying that success has many fathers. And when I think about Vincencia, I think about her as a daughter, and several of you out there may also claim her as your daughter. But I also claim her as my daughter, and I want to thank her for inviting me to be here today with you and at this event. I also want to thank Bruce for his introduction. And Mike, this is the second time I've had the opportunity to share the podium with you, and very moving presentation. I appreciate that as well. My job here is very simple, which is to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Karen Dubois Walton, who is the Executive Director for the New Haven Housing Authority. And I've known Karen 13 years and was in this building that we met. And, you know, I want to just say a few things about Karen that I've learned over the years. One, she is dedicated to her task. 2, she is committed to the mission of the Housing Authority, and it's a holistic mission. It's not just about providing housing, it's providing housing in an environment where there's great opportunity for the residents and for the community to interact with those residents. She is professional. I note that she has a background in psychology, and I think I would encourage her to go back into psychology full-time because she would have a client in me. I need some psychological help sometimes, it seems. But she is a psychologist, and she, importantly, is very fair. So she is all of those things: professional, committed, professional, and fair, and dedicated. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Karen Dubois Walton to come to the stage.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So my eyes are no longer 13. I've been reduced to these, so bear with me. So welcome. I want to start actually by thanking V and VASE Management. Did she disappear? She was right over there a minute ago. So she's out in the hall. For bringing this together and for this opportunity. We enjoy a long partnership with VASE Management, working to ensure access to the projects that we're working on by smaller contractors, and also to ensure entrepreneurial opportunities for the residents that we serve. So I'm really happy to be partnering with her on this, but it's one of many things we partner with. As mentioned, I am the Executive Director for Elm City Communities, which is what we now call the Housing Authority in New Haven. And I'd like to acknowledge my predecessor, who's in the room today, and now President of Censere Consulting, Jim Miller. So thank you for being here. And so glad to see so many partners out here that we're already working with in the room, and some new partners, and some potential partners that we hope to build a relationship with through this and through many things that we can do together. I'm really proud to serve the community in the city of New Haven in the development, the build, and the operation and management of affordable housing communities. And we're in the business of trying to build communities that work for low and moderate income families. And our journey has been one that's been informed by and learning from the past successes, but importantly, the past failures of the housing programs, particularly federal housing programs, because that's the world in which we work. And if you think about the history of affordable housing, we believe that we've come a long way in creating a formula that works better in terms of creating communities that can work for families in an effort to have opportunities that move them out of poverty. And so we are serving currently in the city of New Haven approximately 6,000 low-income families through our public housing and our housing choice voucher programs. And we house them. We are primarily a housing provider in 23 developments throughout the city, some of which have been entirely rebuilt or modernized, and some with work partners that are in the room today, and some that are in the process of being modernized and rebuilt in a way that works for families. And I think it's important to think about who we're serving when we think about the work that we're doing, because we are situated in Connecticut, one of the wealthiest states in the nation. We are in Connecticut second in the number of millionaires. We rank sixth in the number of billionaires in this state. It has one of the highest costs of living and one of the highest income disparity levels in the country. When you look at Connecticut at large, about 11% of the population lives in poverty. When you bring that to the city of New Haven, our poverty rate is over 30%. And when you look at the families we serve, they by definition are 100% living in poverty at the time that they start with us. And through their time with us, we hope that they're moving forward in that opportunity. So just to contextualize it a little bit, on average, our families are a family size of 4, and the average income for the family is less than $15,000 a year. So it's a challenge. And so our mission has to be about more than just the building and creating of housing. But I really think that we're in the business of trying to correct some of the ills of the past housing policy and development that led to things that are so evident in this state, the segregation of housing, the segregated poverty that exists as a result of that. And there's lots of current work on this. If you have an interest in reading the work of Matthew Desmond or Richard Rothstein, they document very clearly the role that government, and we sit in a quasi-governmental type agency, and played a critical role in creating poverty, especially for populations of color in this country. Explicit housing policy that were on the books that dislocated populations. Explicit policies on the books around things like Jim Crow. New Deal state-sponsored segregation programs. Segregated public housing. Segregated suburban development. Things that explicitly denied opportunity to populations of color, redlining, and other discriminatory FHA practices that were on the books. Current federal housing subsidies that favor affluent populations and disinvest in affordable housing. So why raise these here today with a group, such a gathering of contractors and partners? I raise it because as the head of a quasi-governmental agency, I myself and the colleagues with whom I work feel we have a mandate to take real affirmative actions to correct the devastating actions that have been taken by prior federal, state, and even local housing administrators. And so in that context, we're rebuilding communities, and with rebuilding comes great opportunities. We are taking strong steps to advance economic opportunities for families, and particularly for families, for individuals who historically have been shut out of opportunity. We're in an aggressive redevelopment program. We seek to modernize our entire portfolio and rebuild our communities in ways that we know better work. We rebuild mixed income communities. We rebuild utilizing solid design principles that bring together the best of what we know about urban design. We give people homes as opposed to just units. And homes give people a sense of ownership. When you look at new designs, you'll see developments that have front doors and back doors and places people can claim as their own. And with that, you see people's behavior showing a sense of ownership to where they live. We are engaged in an over $500 million redevelopment program right now that leverages public and private dollar investments. And later in the panel, you'll hear more about the specific upcoming opportunities that we hope you'll be interested in being involved in, if you're not already, in this development as contractors and as subcontractors on our opportunities, and also hiring opportunities for individuals. Our communities, though, in addition to better design, offer opportunities for families to move from poverty. And so we are creating service-rich environments with opportunities for our youngest residents to our most senior residents. For our youngest, it's a host of early childhood and academic achievement, pro-social behavior, youth training and youth job programs, and college launch or post-secondary launch kinds of programs. For our adult, work-able population, it's a whole host of connections to workforce, skill building, paying attention to the trends and where there are opportunities, and matching people up to those opportunities and helping them address any gaps in their learning or any barriers that are getting in their way of pursuing jobs in the workforce. For some, it's entrepreneurship, working with people on their own goals of business ownership and moving them toward those. On everything that we do, whether it's our rebuilding, our redevelopment, and our construction projects, or any other purchase or spending of money, we have goals that we work toward, set-aside goals that we undertake to meet on ensuring that companies and individuals who are low income have access, that women and minorities have access, and women and minority-owned businesses have access to our work. And our contracting opportunities, we have consistently exceeded our goals and seek to partner further to continue to raise the bar for ourselves. Our hiring and our subcontracting goals all are in place in order to open doors to folks who historically have had challenges breaking into opportunity. The contractors who work with us will find that we're aggressive at the start of a project and work throughout projects on enforcing and working toward the attainment of these goals. And we ensure that our set-asides are correct and we are on site and doing wage enforcement and ensuring folks are paid accordingly. And we're also sizing jobs in ways that create opportunity for contractors. During the later panel, you'll be able to hear more, and I look forward to hearing from you as we continue to improve our program in these aspects. The partnership with VASE management has been so important to the work, and V and her work represent a piece of our commitment to creating this opportunity. And we, at this point, have a long history now of contracting together to work to help launch some small businesses and support businesses moving forward. And I never forget that some of the best job-creating ideas come out of the necessity of low-income communities. When I think about some of the things that are the most popular businesses nowadays, folks like Garrett Camp and Travis Kalanick get credit for founding Uber, and folks like Logan Green and John Zimmer get credit for creating Lyft. But don't forget that ride-sharing ideas grew out of the necessity of low-income communities, areas that were not well-fed by public transportation, areas where cars might have been a luxury. As I learned about, as a young child, learned about the Montgomery bus boycotts and thought about how did an entire community go for over a year without using their bus system in order to protest discrimination and segregation, it was through rideshare. It was through early Uber and Lyft services back in Montgomery, Alabama. And if you hang out in any low-income community, to this day, you'll find models of rideshare that have nothing to do with Uber or Lyft. And what's the difference between what happens in communities and the start of an Uber or a Lyft? It's typically the access to capital, to invest in the idea, and to bring the idea to scale. So we believe through our resident-owned business program that we can help to create the next Uber or Lyft, and that's the kind of work that V and VASE partners with us on. Our resident-owned program seeks to find residents who are living with us and have a dream of entrepreneurship, no matter how early that dream may be. And what V and her staff does is work with folks to bring that idea to a full business plan, to be a viable business idea, and to launch that business into opportunities that may yield them generating their own income. It also may generate their opportunity to get a revolving loan through that we are sponsoring. It's providing them opportunities to access capital in other ways as well. And we have been excited to have many examples of this point of very viable businesses, including a construction business that built an entire home ownership phase on one of our redevelopment projects. It was a resident-owned business. When any of you all need transportation to New York Airport or Hartford Airport, we're proud that there is now a transportation company that is a resident-owned business. One of our residents worked with V on launching his transportation company. We have any number of construction-related resident-owned businesses that have launched that are providing now solid income to the resident, allowing them to move their family out of poverty, enable them to have greater housing choice options, and enabling us to get projects completed, knowing that they're completed with solid work done by a subcontractor who is also a resident. We know that construction-related fields are not for everyone, and there are a host of other things that people have launched as well, including bookkeeping services, and I think my all-time favorite, although I have to avoid frequenting her too frequently, would be our cupcake truck. So we encourage you to think about opportunities as well as you're thinking about your own business as a contractor, as a sub, to think about ways in which you might mentor some of our resident-owned businesses, ways in which you might collaborate with one of the many energetic, insightful, and creative residents that V is currently assisting or that we haven't even found yet to connect with, but that want to pursue their dream of entrepreneurship and one day sit in this room, perhaps next year's conference be in this room as well with you as a potential contractor or sub. So I encourage you to partner with us as we continue on our mission to end poverty in our community. Work with us to spread that mission elsewhere, and I hope you'll enjoy your day. Thank you.
And here she comes.
Thank you. Sorry, I get a little nervous sometimes, so I want to thank Dogs for helping me out this morning. I would like to just say a few words, and I'll try to keep it short. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out to come here. As Dogs mentioned, 13 years ago, many of you don't know, although you knew of VASE as a business because it was a project that started at the University of Bridgeport. When I was finishing up, I would go on to finish my master's and get my MBA and go into the business full time. But 13 years ago, when I first started out here, I was a small company. We're still small, but it was a very small company trying to develop. And 13 years ago, I started developing relationships with businesses and mentors. And residents all across the Fairfield, mostly in New Haven County. I can't underestimate the power of networking and the people that comes across your way as you develop your business. The reason why the theme is what the theme is because, like many of you here, we are also small business. We are also looking for business. And when VASE started, we were consulting because I'd always loved to help people. And my family and I, we always joke and say 2 things we can achieve in life in terms of business is helping people and making money while doing it. Because you need the money so you can grow your operations and you can grow your business and you can learn from it. But at the same time, we can't do it alone. Now, I am very appreciative of the New Haven Housing Authority, to Karen, to Mr. Miller. Dr. Fred had to go to, I think, another state, so he came and he earlier, and now he's gone. But that was 13 years ago. Now, many of you here, and I've been talking to, that just told me that you're just starting your business and you're in construction and you've been doing construction for all of these years and now you're started. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be some challenges. There's going to be some hurdles along the way. But the fact that you are doing what you love, a couple of you guys here are MBEs, very new, but you've been in the trade most of your lives, so that's the first step. You love the business. I love consulting, but I also love construction. I grew up in a construction family. My dad was the head of road and civil engineering. He formed a construction business. Ever since I was born, all I knew was construction. Until I came to the U.S., went to school, college, master's now. From consulting, I'm back into doing construction. But you cannot do it by yourself. What we love to do is we love to help businesses to grow and develop. We love to take our experiences that we learned over the years and share with everyone here. There's just so many opportunities. In this room alone is about 9 major contractors and government agencies that have 21 projects right now that are counted in this room alone. Seems like a very small room. Those 21 projects are accounting to $1 billion or more. When I was doing the rough numbers between New Haven Housing Developments, between the listing that I saw from Gilbane, ONG, Tricon, APREIT, there is that much work in this room and more. But not only that, there are subcontractors. We're here to also look for opportunities to listen to what our speakers are saying and to see how we can also get business. Because remember, we're also contractors. We love to help contractors, but we're also contractors. And not only that, we have service suppliers here that are here to make sure that we get all of the necessary information to get the work done. Now, we love to share our resources. Now, we have DAS here. Many of the panels are going to be talking about the upcoming projects that they are working on. But along with that is the requirements, whether it's Section 3, minority, small business certification. We have the resources here to help everyone get it done. I just wanted to say that, one, not only thank you, everyone, for taking the time out and coming and bringing it. I'm a true testimonial that if you do the right thing in life, if you care for people truly, and it cannot be about the money, it has to be about passion. Like Karen gave me the opportunity to help many residents from their own business. I tell them one thing now. I say to them, if you don't love what you're doing, chances are you're going to fail. You can't go into it because of the money. You have to go into it because you love it and you know it's going to make a difference. Now, whenever the resident-owned businesses that New Haven Housing Authority have formed and call and they get excited, say, I just got this work. You know, it couldn't have happened without the leadership of the housing, without me loving to help these businesses to develop and to grow, without their determination to move further. So we all are here because we have one thing in common. We are looking for economic growth, for the greater good, for our families, for our sustainability. And that's what this room is about. One of the things that I will ask you to do, if you don't mind, is I want to continue this dialogue. So if you are a general contractor, a major contractor, or government agencies, these 21 projects that we have coming up that have at least, maybe they're small, but I only counted 21 projects. I'd like for you guys to let us know, let VASE know what you have coming up. Use our bid portal to share in this one centralized location, because the 21 projects are also coming from 8 or 9 different general contractors. Sometimes, as a subcontractor, it's hard for me to go to 8 or 9 different websites just to find the opportunity. So I will encourage you to list those projects on the VASE website, and for the subcontractors that are in this room to follow the project. Also, if you are here and you need specific help, reach out to us. If we can help you, we will help you. And if we cannot help you, I can guarantee you that we are connected with someone that can help you. So without that being said, I want to say again, thank you so much for, one, believing in me, for taking the time out to come here, and for continuing to work with us. And Dogs, thank you so much for everything that you've done for VASE, and continuing to be a good friend, and also helping the businesses that we work with. And Mike, thank you so much for taking the time out and coming here and inspiring all of us, for me again, but for everyone that have met you for the first time. And Karen, thank you so much for being a true leader. I get a lot of my inspiration from you. You may not know it, but I follow the things that you do. Somebody told me the other day, they say, if you want to be the best of the best, you have to surround yourself with the best of the best. Now, sometimes I see small contractors that want to work with even smaller contractors. It doesn't work that way. You have to align yourself with someone that's already succeeding and that you can learn from them. So that is my only advice. When I get nervous, I talk too much, so this is the end of my conversation. We have a panel coming up, so Barack, I know you're here. We're going to move into the panel, take a few breaks, but thank you for coming. When we go into the panel, please grab some refreshments. Also, we have some boxes out there. They're going to keep these refreshments in here, but out there, they will take the food away, but there's boxes out there. We don't want them to throw some of the food out. So if you want to take some of the food home, please, we're going to wrap this session up right now so that you can grab some, takeout, and you can bring it back in here, go freshen up, and we're going to move straight into the panel discussion. And in the panel discussion, we have about 5 general contractors / major contractors, Elm City Communities, PTAP, DAS, SBA, Delden for bonding. They're going to talk about upcoming work, how to meet the requirements, and how to get the work done. So with all of that, I think that hopefully you guys will end up getting work, getting subcontractors, or getting help you need to continue your business. Once again, I'm truly honored to have you here, so thank you everyone so much again. Thank you. So now I hope you have your pen and paper ready, because this is a session where we're going to talk about upcoming projects. The good news is on this podium is quite a bit of work, opportunities that's coming up, and there's a few of us, so the more the merrier, right? So before we start, I know that one of our sponsors, ONG and Tricon, thank you so much. We have Tricon on the stage. Barack is going to talk about the project, but Aaron has to leave, so I wanted to present Aaron with his award before he leaves. So on behalf of VASE, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again. So the idea of this session is in 3 or 4 folds. One is upcoming work right now and what is involved and how we can participate, and then how to get the work done. So we have some companies here with upcoming projects, and then we have some companies here that will be able to help businesses, like small businesses like yourself, to be able to get the work done. And that's how the panel is going to go. And also, we're going to tape all of this, so in case you want us to resend it to you in the video, we can do that as well. So for the records, this session is being recorded. No pressure. We just want to make sure that some people that could not make it, although they wanted to come, will still be able to learn of the upcoming work that we're discussing today. So without further ado, I want to start with Jonathan to talk about the projects that you have. And then I know that the order, okay, it's a good order. We wanted to talk about all the projects first. We're going to skip, Jeff, I'm Chris, we'll skip you, go to Barack, and then come back to you, okay, because we want to discuss all the jobs first. Actually, Jonathan, before you go, I think I'd like for Mr. Miller to start the presentation, because you can give the overall of the housing RAD, and then from there, Barack and Jonathan can talk about what they're doing in terms of the housing project. And then from there, Patrick, you can talk about the private work opportunities with Gilbane and their subcontractors. And then after that, we'll talk about, Meg, you can talk about the DS certification. Lisa can talk about the the technical assistance and the SBS support. And then Chris, you can talk about the bonding effect and how you can help. All right, thank you very much. Jimmy?
Thank you, V. Can you hear me out there? It's nothing worse than speaking after lunch, all right? Everybody's got, want to take a nap. Anyway, a couple of months ago, I think V and I were talking about this session, and we talked about the 3 C's and competency, character, and capacity. And it was just an idea, and then next thing I know, she's actually pulled the entire thing off. So hats off to V, because I could have never done it. Never give her an idea, because it's all over. In any case, I am a consultant. I've been a consultant, I guess, now for about 1 year. At the ripe age of 65, I'm starting a new career. And I was just thinking earlier about when the gentleman from the Mohegan tribe was talking. He was saying they think about things in 13-year intervals. And I was just thinking, I can barely think about things in 13-minute intervals. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing in the next 13 minutes. So I'm doing consulting work for the Housing Authority, and they are now engaged in a program that I think I've spoken to many of you about. It's called the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program. It's a program that's designed to transform existing public housing into be a new public housing. And it's a federally funded program, and Elm City is one of the leaders in that program. So they have 13 projects, and the total budget for those 13 projects is about $158 million. And the projects have been divided into 3 phases, and the good thing about it is that the construction managers for those phases are here today, so they can get into the detail. But the first phase is what we call a Group 1 that is already underway, and we're in the design process. And not we, I keep saying we, but I keep thinking I don't work for New Haven anymore. I should say they are in the process. I work for them. They're in the process of closing that project, and construction should start at the beginning of the year. It's 4 projects, about $25 million worth of work, and Tricon and ONG are the construction managers, so they can get into the details about how you can get with them and get some work and help develop some capital and improve your capacity. So, and that's the first project, and it consists of 4 properties, and I think the photos for all those 4 projects are in the back. It consists of New Hall Gardens and Constance Baker's Motley, Catherine Harvey, and Prescott Bush. So those will be complete renovations jobs, again, under the auspices of Tricon and ONG, which is a joint venture. Group 2 is going to be, has a construction manager, and the construction manager for that is Giordana, and are they here today? I think they are here? Okay, they're here as well. So that is a project that consists of rehabilitation of Waverly townhouses and Fulton Park and Stanley Justice scatter site developments in New Haven. And there's going to be a Group 2B, which is new construction, which consists of Valley townhouses, and that's going to be a new construction of 40 unit new construction. And the construction manager for that site, I said, it's Giordano, and then Group 3 is a high-rise developments in New Haven, and that consists of 5 high-rise buildings of about $50 million worth of work, all major rehabilitation, and the construction manager for that project is Preet, in conjunction with VASE Management. So one of the things that you will see that is a constant theme in all these developments is that there are significant minority and women participation, not just in the form of subcontractors and suppliers, but in the form of partners, general partners. Both the VASE and Preet is a joint venture general partnership, and so is the Tricon and ONG. So when we talk about building capacity and character, one of the things that the Housing Authority in the city has been pushing under the leadership of Karen Dubois Walton is to develop partnerships. It's not just enough to give someone an opportunity to be a subcontractor, because that's just an income, and incomes do not last very long. The goal is to make someone be a partner or a joint venture so they can develop capital, because capital leads to wealth. And I always say when I teach my course, there's a big difference between wealth and income. Income goes and comes, wealth does not. Wealth is something you pass down from generation to generation. So that's something that we've been pushing on. Also, in terms of minority participation, all these developments have very strong MBE and WBE and Section 3 requirements. Housing Authority requires that 20% of the work go to minority businesses, that 6% go to women-owned businesses, and that 10% of the work goes to Section 3 businesses. And I think most of all of you know what an MBE, WBE, a Section 3 business is, and if you do not, I'll be happy to explain it to you, but I don't want to bore you with that. And I think I hate these type of sessions. I'd rather have questions and answers, so I will save anything else. So if you have any particular questions, because I see a very diverse crowd between small businesses and small contractors and contractors. So given the diversity of the group, I'll just save anything else I have to say until you have questions, and I'll be happy to answer those and go into in-depth about any of the developments and how you make the marriage with the contractors and how you qualify as an MBE or Section 3 or WBE and any of those things, okay? All right, thank you again, and thank you, V, for, she left the room already. She's probably putting on another conference as we speak. All right, thank you. I think you're next? All right.
Okay, so for Gilbane, rather than just our private projects, I want to start with our public projects because they're what's coming out first. We don't really do much housing work in Connecticut. We tend to do state and school type of work and private work. The first project I'm going to have out of the coming up next is the state office building up in Hartford. They're going to be renovating that. It's about $105 million overall budget. It's going out to bid next week, and bids will be due in about 3 to 4 weeks. It's got a project labor agreement on it, so that means a heavy union participation on that one. It also has the CHRO goals on it, so we're looking for at least 25% of that project to be built with small business, and of that 25% from small minority or minority businesses. One of the things that we do is when we do have a CHRO project, or it doesn't actually matter, CHRO or private, we tend to structure our packages for opportunity for both large and small contractors. So I will have large, big bid packages on the office building project. I will also have smaller set-aside packages where only state DAS certified small and minority contractors are eligible to bid on those. So that is the state office building. Next, after that, right probably after Thanksgiving, we're going to have a major addition renovation project down in West Haven. The trade cost, I want to say that, has had an overall budget of around $90 million. Those bids will be coming in right around Christmas time. Similar to the state office building, it's got a project labor agreement on it. It's got the minimum CHRO goals and construction. That's a long one. That's a 4-year phased construction project going to be going on until 2021 or something. I can't even believe I'm saying 2021. On the private side of the equation, down at Fairfield University, we're going to be building their new School of Business facility. I think it's got about an overall budget of about $30 million. That's a private invitation only type of project. And there, whereas we don't have CHRO, we do have Gilbane corporate goals for participation. A lot of the contractors here today are probably a little bit on the small side for the direct bidding, but our contractors are going to be looking for lower tier participation from suppliers and subcontractors. So I would definitely encourage folks to reach out to me, and I can let you know who's bidding on that one. Down the road, I would encourage you to reach out to me from time to time. My business cards are in the back, and then the sheet I'm reading from is this sheet right here. It lists the projects that I have that I just went over for you, and it also has my contact information. The best way to get involved with Gilbane is to reach out to me probably every 6 to 8 weeks. Emails work the best. I can tell you what we have coming. Projects here don't move very fast through the pipeline. They're big and they move slow, but I can tell you we've got something coming out in February, and you can put it on your calendar and follow up. But that is by far the best way is to stay on top of mind, is to reach out to me from time to time. And I'll turn it over to, who did V say was next?
I'm Jonathan Preet with A Pre-Construction. We recently acquired 2 projects for the Housing Authority this Tuesday. Those projects, we haven't even looked at the plans yet, but as soon as we do receive everything, you can contact me immediately so I can put you on the bid list. So when we do go out to bid, that's what we could do. I'll put business cards over on the table after we're done here. And that's all I could really tell you about it. And it's a joint venture with VASE Construction, and V could also, if you guys have V's contact her as well.
I'm going to take the opportunity to say I'm going to send all my stuff along to V when we go out too, so that V has it. So you guys, you know, if you're not reaching out to me, you're reaching out to V. She'll be able to tell you what we've got as well.
I think it's the Tricon, right?
My name is Brack Poitier, and I'm representing Tricon Construction Managers, ONG, as a housing joint venture. We were awarded 4 projects, which are posted in the back there: Motley, Newhall Gardens, Harvey, and Bush. They consist of 144 units, and it's all rehab work. We are packaging all of the work for small business. Some of the work is not going to be able to be done by small business, but we're packaging it so that they can have an opportunity to come in. We changed our poster over there, and it originally said bidding. This is not what we do. We're interested in contracting. We're interested in giving you contracts. And many of these jobs can be under $100,000 and can be fitted for whomever wants to be involved. We encourage it. We have been in business, Tricon has been in business since 1972, and we appreciate it better than 90% minority participation on all but one job in that time period. And we plan to meet the goals plus some. And we want everyone here and everyone that knows someone down in New Haven Way or wherever to get involved. We have the work to give you. All you have to do is have the documentation that will get you and allow us to award work to you. And so all I can say is all our information is on the table back there. I think we talked to most of you, but there are some that should be here that are not. I understand how discouraging some things might be from time to time. But the Housing Authority, especially the New Haven Housing Authority, has opened the gates for opportunity. And I'm asking you all, out of all of the institutions around, they are looking for participation. And we are obliged to do that as construction managers, joint venture or otherwise. Women, MBOs, MBEs, ASCs, UREs, whatever. We want you to work in the city of New Haven for the Housing Authority. It's an aggressive program that they have, and we need the work. Our 4 projects are going to start on the same day, so you can understand how much opportunity is there. Okay? And who should get this next? Me?
I believe so. I believe so, yes. I'm Meg Yadashevsky. I'm the director of the Small Business Certification Program for the state of Connecticut. I'm very encouraged and excited to hear all the projects that are coming up, and particularly the requirements related to the small minority business set-asides, because one of the things that I'm passionate about is making sure that we have enough participation on all our projects throughout the state of Connecticut, whether they're funded through the state or private. So I applaud all of the GCs that are here today because this is the first step. One of the things I wanted to talk to you just very briefly about is the certification process. This morning I met many contractors that have already gone through the certification process, and then I also met a few contractors that haven't gone through our process, and we're encouraging you, if you're sitting in the audience and you haven't gone through the program to get certified as a state of Connecticut small minority-owned business, you need to do so. I understand that the city of New Haven, city of Bridgeport, Stamford, Hartford, many of the municipalities have their own certification programs, and you should do those as well. Those are very good as well. But if you're looking to do business at the state level on state-funded projects that some of the GCs have spoken about just a minute ago, you need to be certified as a state of Connecticut certified company. One of the things we tried to do and we continue to do is to push the use of technology. So, the old adage of filling out papers and getting all that information to us, through snail mail and all those days are long gone. One of the things we do now is it is an online web-based application. So you can go online, you can fill out this particular online application. We mirrored it a little bit after TurboTax, so meaning that we don't let you get through a page without making sure that we got what we needed, so then you get to the next page. So hopefully at the end of this process, you're going to give us an application that is complete, and then my staff and myself can look at that application and validate that you meet the requirements. So what are the requirements, Meg? Well, they are, you have to be a Connecticut-based business. This particular program, the certification program, the state set-aside program, is an economic development program for Connecticut businesses. We want to get Connecticut businesses involved in the procurement process and ultimately on some contracts so that your company is growing economically, you live, eat, and breathe here, your workers live, eat, and breathe here. So again, it's economics is what we're looking at. So when we say you have to be Connecticut-based, your principal office has to be here in Connecticut. This morning I had a fairly heated conversation with a company who was trying to convince me that their principal place of business was here, and they were ready to sign a contract on a construction project. And I said, your principal place of business isn't here. You have a trailer here, but your corporate office is not here in Connecticut. That's a business decision that you have, but you're not eligible for this program. So again, we're really looking at that. We look at the principal place of business. Your corporate office has to be here. The second piece of our requirement really gets to the economics, and we look at the revenues of the company. So we look at your most recent completed fiscal year. I know you look at all these other certifications, and there's a lot of different formulas. For the state of Connecticut, it's a fluid program, so we're looking to see, for your most recent completed fiscal year, were you under $15 million? If you were, you're considered a small business. Again, I didn't make that number up. That's through statute. Your representatives and your legislators talked about that, and that's what they came up with, that figure, to say, okay, a small business is $15 million. We don't look at numbers of employees. We don't look at that. Again, it's revenue. It's gross revenue. So we have companies coming in to the certification program that maybe in 1 year, out the next year, back in the following year, because their revenue has fluctuated. And that's okay, because the reason we have this program is to get you some opportunities that you may not have had the opportunity to go after. So you have to be, again, Connecticut-based. You have to be under 15 million. And you have to be an independent company. And this is something that the legislators were very passionate about the last few legislative sessions. This legislative session, they're worried about a budget right now, but the legislations in the past really talked about the independence of companies, because the argument was that we were certifying companies that may not be independent. They may be a branch of another company or of a larger company, and that's not the intent of this program. You have to be independent. Your viability of your company can't rely on a larger company or any other company for employees, for equipment, because that's not the intent of this program. So you have to be independent. And then we also look at the ownerships of the companies. We're looking to see who owns this company, who manages this company. This program is not for absentee owners. You have to be a viable part of that particular company. My staff will come out to your organization because we want to look and see where this company is. Is it, we look to see how, how the owner's involved with that company and what technical expertise that owner has in whatever it is the company tells us they're going to do, whether it's construction to, making pasta, to selling shoes, to, being an accountant or an attorney or an engineer. We want to make sure that who the majority owner is truly involved with that and brings that technical expertise. So we look at a lot of those things, and again, it's a check and balance where we have the companies provide us some documentation because we have to validate these certificates. The most important thing for us is the integrity of the certifications we're issuing, because the certificate affords you opportunities on construction projects that are set aside for companies that have that certification. You're going to be bidding against like companies. You're going to be bidding against small businesses. And at the end of the day, we're successful because we know that a piece of that procurement is going to stay in the state, and it's going to stay with these small businesses. One of the things, again, we've tried to make the process for certification easier. So if you're a company out here and you're not certified, make sure you see V, and she'll get you connected with myself. We're going to get you through that process. We're committed to that. We're working. I think V can attest that any company that she sends to me, we try to streamline that process and get you through that process as quickly as we can, because at the end of the day, we want you to have that validation that you're certified. So the next step is, how good is the certification? Well, how good the certification is for us to then, my office, to work with a lot of the general contractors. So this is, now I'm talking to the GCs a little bit, because I want all the general contractors to understand that for many years we heard that you have this wonderful database of companies that are certified in the state of Connecticut from all different 169 municipalities here in the state of Connecticut, doing all these different services, but it's hard for us as general contractors to vet those when we have opportunities. So one of the things we're trying to do, and we are doing currently, is if your estimators or your internal organization would like that list in an easier format, so you guys can manipulate that and kind of send out some emails to certain groups, whether you're looking for masons or landscapers or whatever the category is in your bid specs that you're looking to get the word out about a lot of your opportunities, we can do that. So please see me, because we've tailored some of this, and I can give you access rights to, if my staff certified a company an hour ago, you're going to see it, and you're going to see it in a format that works for your internal systems. So see me on that. That's something new. And one of the things we're trying to do is to make it as easy as possible for the users, so that we take some of the barriers in the very beginning process of the bidding away. So hopefully you guys will take me up on some of those things. And again, if you're not certified, please see us. We'll get you certified very, very quickly. Those of you that are working for the city of New Haven, I work very closely with that organization and your small business folks there. And so there's some synergy there. If you get certified with the city, we have some synergy where your names are being passed to us now. We're going to kind of approach you anyways to get certified at the state level. But see me. All right? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Wood. I'm the director of the Procurement Technical Assistance Program here in Connecticut. And we also help with the certifications with the state. We're just part of the team. We're all strategic partners. We are a resource for the businesses to connect. And we fondly call ourselves the eHarmony of government contracting. So we help businesses with federal, state, and local government how to contract with them. And that means technical assistance. We're helping them read a solicitation and write the bid. So many businesses fail at that point. They don't really understand what's being called out in the solicitation. They don't understand how to format a proper proposal or to do the pricing and the costing out, and they fail at that point and they give up. We do not want them to give up. We want them to move forward. We want them to get over that very first hurdle of bidding on these opportunities that is going to give them a nice little extra line of income coming in, taking advantage of government contracting. So not only do we help them with that phase, we help them with the contract administration. It's cradle to grave assistance with the client. Now, primes and general contractors come to us as well to look for businesses because we've already taught them how to engage. We want them to be responsible and responsive bidders. So we are able to offer primes and general contractors capability statements for businesses. So I'll give you an example. ESPN and Disney had a supplier diversity event, and they called me and said, Lisa, we need women, we need service-disabled veterans, and we need minority suppliers. And I said, what's your criteria? Well, they need to be certified, and we need to see their capability statements. So they had to be WeBank if they were women, they had to be Greater New England Minority Council if they were a minority, and they had to be verified through CVE if they were veterans. We offered that to them. So now they had already prepared responsible and responsive bidders coming into that supplier diversity event. It just helps ease them into that exposure to the people who are going to be buying from them. So we help on both ends. We help large businesses fulfill their subcontracting plans, and we help businesses be those responsible and responsive bidders. They're prepared to do the government contracting work. And we're a free service. We're funded by the state of Connecticut and the Department of Defense. So it's a very important program to help businesses succeed because we do not want businesses afraid to getting into the government contracting arena. We don't want them to say it's bureaucratic, it's paperwork, it's the old boys network, we're never going to get in, we're just, it's impossible for us to succeed. We want that thinking to stop. We want everyone to know that there are resources out there for you that will help you jump through the hurdles of government contracting. We want you to know that there are people who will help you at no cost to be successful and teach you how to be able to contract with the prime contractors and the general contractors. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lisa Powell. I am with the Small Business Administration, and I'm with in the Connecticut District Office in Hartford, and we also have a branch office in Bridgeport, and we cover the whole state. For those that may not be familiar with the SBA, we are an agency of the federal government, and you're probably wondering why I'm here. And because we are most known for our loan programs, which are done through the bank. So those of you small business contractors who may need financing to help you get through your jobs, what we do is we guarantee a portion of the loan. So we'll guarantee anywhere between 75% and 85%. So the bank's exposure is less. So it's an enhancement on the loan that the bank might not have otherwise made. Our 7A loan goes up to $5 million. It can be used for purchasing machinery and equipment, working capital, inventory, leasehold improvements, maybe on your existing place of business. That has a 75 or 85% guarantee. Our SBA Express loan goes up to $350,000. That has a 50% guarantee, and a lot of banks will structure that as a line of credit. We also have our CAP lines program, which is geared towards those in the construction industry. So we have a seasonal line of credit, we have a contractor's line of credit. Our other loan programs can also be structured as seasonal loans. It's a conversation that you would have with the loan officer so that you're making higher payments during your busy season, lower payments during your not so busy season. We also have a bonding program. Our surety bond program will guarantee anywhere between 80 and 90%, so the insurance company's exposure is less. So it's put in place for those of you who may not have gotten bonding yet, or have had bonding but haven't had the ability to increase your bonding capacity. You would go to any one of the agents in the state that participate. They in turn put the package together and submit it to the insurance company. I have a little printout for the CAP lines. I have information on our other loan programs. But if you go to the SBA.gov website under the heading for financing, you're going to find all the information for the bonding and all the other loan programs. Okay.
Hi, my name is Chris Green. I work at Bruin Delton Taddeo Insurance, and actually, I do bonding. We do deal with the SBA and DAS, do a lot of their pre-qualification. Been working there for about 15 years. Before that, I was an estimator and installed gutters and insulation in the Hartford area, so I'm familiar with the operations of the small businesses. At Bruin, we have about 250 clients, ranging, I have some people that bid on $10,000 projects, others that bid on $80 million. We can handle pretty much anything in between. We have a lot of small express programs that are based off just credit reports. A lot of the other contracting stuff, there's a lot of commercial bonds that we do, because if you're tying into a street or doing some excavation there, a lot of towns require you to pull a license and permit bond for street excavation. Handle a lot of that. Help also with the DAS pre-qualification. I think I mentioned that already. And any bonding needs, more than happy to talk to you about. Feel free to give us a call. I think that's about it. I do not handle the insurance, unfortunately. I'm subbing for Jeff, and he's not here. What do you guys do insurance? Oh, we do all kinds of insurance. Everything you can imagine.
You do insurance, yeah.
Pardon me?
You do insurance. So Jeff is actually one of the partners, and I think he's running late. Yes. So Chris focused on the bond, and he's here. But they do both insurance and bonding.
Yes.
Yeah. So especially for the companies that are either looking elsewhere or looking to start the business.
If there are insurance questions, that gentleman can probably help you.
Oh, there you go.
He's also with Bruin.
Sean, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Sean will be able to answer more insurance questions. And we've been working with Delden for a number of years for both our insurance and bonding needs. So thank you. And we've been working with DAS because they certify us. We've gotten help from with Frank and PTAP and Lisa. And of course, I'm looking forward to our new venture with Preet and with Gilbane and with the New Haven Housing and Barack. Hopefully we can share some of the experiences being that you're doing the Group 1, and we can all work together to make the housing development project a success. Sorry. I want to leave it up for questions and answers. If you have any questions at all, this is a time where you ask the questions. You know, one of the ways that you grow is you have to ask questions. Don't be shy. Everybody here is, here to help. So there is no questions that you should be afraid of asking. So any questions for our panelists? I know there was one question about certification that I'd like to ask Meg. So there was, there you go. Mr. Murphy from Yale, you had asked me a question regarding you spoke to, okay, perfect. Actually, do you mind sharing that just so that everybody else would know? Because that's not the first time the question came up in terms of what is considered a minority, what percentage, how far does it go? Does it go with the parents, with the grandparents, the percentage of it? Meg, can you clarify that for us?
I can speak for the state of Connecticut's program. The statute is fairly clear on this, and what it tells us is we have to look at lineage, and it doesn't specify how far back we go. So what we've institutionalized in our administrative policies is as long as we can follow the lineage and we can validate that lineage as far as one of the protected classes that is in the statute, we'll issue that certificate. We don't stop at grandparent, great-grandparent. There's nothing there that tells us that we have to do that. So we've taken the approach that as long as we can follow that lineage, we'll issue that certificate to that company. Now, the company has to be 51% owned by that individual or that person or persons collectively. It could be more than one that have that lineage. So there's a process. I haven't seen any company that's come to us that we have to go back very far, to be honest with you. If it comes up, we would have to look at that, but it's usually 1 or 2 generations, and really that's as far back as we've ever had to go. So it hasn't we haven't had to test that too much. What the questions we get a lot is, you know, what kind of documentation do you need? You know, sometimes people, they don't have their birth certificates or they can't get access to those. And so some of the things we try to work with that particular individual to give us some other government document that they can get. All else fails, there is opportunity for some legal documents such as an affidavit and things like that. So our focus is really proactive, and we're trying to get the company certified, so we're trying to do whatever we can to make that happen, maintaining that integrity. Does that answer the question?
That does answer the question. And for those of you that did not, maybe were puzzled about what we were talking about, a company wants to get certified. You have to be 51%, depending if you want to be, let's say, a WBE, woman-owned business. You have to be 51%. The owner or the controlling factor have to be 51% or more of those ethnic background, MBE, of those ethnic background that we talked about. And we're trying to decide how far of an how far you have to go and how that works. So that's what Meg was explaining. Thank you, Meg. Is there any questions for our panelists? Yes. Oh, Frank, I'll leave it here.
Wood, I'm sorry. So Frank Dixon with the PTAP team, Procurement Technical Assistance Center now here in Connecticut. So at PTAP, we have roughly, over 700 clients in our database of all types of industries and NAICS codes. And when they come to us, they'll ask us various questions about, I've talked to the Gilbanes, and I've talked to the Tricons, and I've talked to these guys, and I've come to these venues and panels, right? They tell me what we have coming down the pike, but what a lot of these guys want to know, from what I'm getting feedback from, is talk about what are the challenges that you guys face when you're vetting people to bring them in. Because sometimes we can get into talking about, this is what we have, we're looking for someone to be certified, but a lot of these small guys don't know the granular logistical details of what those are. And I think to simplify this, I would ask some of the GMs to just talk about what are some of the challenges that you're facing that deadline some of the guys when they're trying to come through and get on your vendor list.
Sure. I'm not afraid to talk loud. I used to be a Cub Scout leader, so. Some of the challenges that I see that for folks getting involved is some of the paperwork and the technical stuff that PTAP offers assistance with. It's insurance levels, it's bondability, it's the way that the accounting is done. When you work on a project with Gilbane, you have to be pre-qualified if it's a private job with us, and we take a very hard look at those items. On the public side, you're working with a surety if you're working directly for us because you've got a bonding line that you have or an insurance line. So it's the office side of the equation. Frequently I see great mechanics leave the field to start a business, and it's the business portion of it, not the twisting of the wire nut or the laying of the block. You can do that all day long. It's the business and the office side is the biggest barrier. So I'm challenged when I have folks that, I'm a great mason, I can do this for you, I want to work for you. Then I ask the questions, well, what's your insurance look like? What's your bonding look like? Do you have your standard accounting practices, that kind of thing? And that's where the gap tends to happen. So I would strongly encourage you to take advantage of some of the services here. That way there's a much higher likelihood, if not working directly for us, you're working for us as a subcontractor. And then once the project is going, it's the administration of the project, the submittals, it's following up with the RFIs, all of that, those kind of things. There's a lot of administrative burden that frequently we find is a challenge to small contractors. And I'm going to throw it out there to all small contractors, not necessarily minority contractors. It's one of the biggest obstacles to seeing folks on the job is that office end of the piece. I don't know if you want to add to that. No. Questions? And Frank
Yeah.
set that up. I know we talked earlier. He set that up as a softball for me.
I just had two quick questions. One was on the, besides V site that I found very easy to kind of navigate, what are some of the other good clearinghouses to go to get updates on the upcoming projects? That was one. And then the second question is just around how different is it to kind of get certified for federal projects versus the state and local?
I'm just going to put a plug in for the state of Connecticut's website, the Connecticut portal. It has all the opportunities out there for all the state agencies, quasi-state agencies, municipalities, and a number of the construction projects are out on our website. If you go to www.das.ct.gov, and I'm sure this is in a lot of the information that you have, and you'll see that there's a Connecticut portal. Everything the state of Connecticut goes out to bid for in all the municipalities, in all these quasis, they have to put it on that portal. Not only do you don't have to even go look at it every day, you can register to receive a bid notice. So every day at 4 o'clock, you're going to get a notice saying, here's all the opportunities that were posted today. It's very easy to do, and we can walk you through that. I would encourage you to do that at the state level. You won't miss a thing.
I'd like to get back to the question that you asked. I think building character, capital, and capacity is most important. And this is what is used, engaged for small business, minority businesses, women-owned business, et cetera, et cetera. The fact of the matter is, the contractor, construction manager should be exercising and demonstrating the same thing. What they're asking you guys to do, they should be willing to do themselves. There's not many small business guys that can be and meet all of the requirements of a construction manager. The construction manager, if their heart and their spirit is in doing the development, now remember this, when they sign a contract, they're signing to agree to meet the percentages that the owner has required. They have to post a payment and performance bond. If they don't meet that agreement, they have violated their performance. It's up to the owner to push and make sure that that happens. I'm not the only person in the construction business that thinks this way. There are a lot of us. There are a lot of us that want to help. But the guidelines sometimes prohibit it. And other construction managers and other contractors, they really don't have an interest in meeting their obligation. They make an effort, they put the advertisement in the paper, they call people up, this and that, and then when they come in, you don't meet any of these requirements that we have to vet you. The fact of the matter is, and the success of Tricon and ONG bought into this, the success is interview the person. Let's see what kind of character he has. And then it's our job to help them if we want to help contractors grow. That's simple. That's simple. I sat on the mayor's committee for construction businesses, small businesses. I sat there for 2.5 years. And my suggestion to them was what? All the construction managers that were sitting there, and they were all major ones out of New Haven and around, get yourself one small contractor, one contractor. Commit yourself to them. Help them grow. Help them make money. Not just make a living, like Mr. Miller said. Help them make money. Keep them with you a long time from now. And then have the city waiver any other responsibilities for meeting any other percentages because you are mentoring a contractor. Never happened. They're not interested in that. Too much work. Well, if you're going to help somebody, it's going to require work. It's not all about money. The complaints that I've heard over the years is I own a business and I'm making less than the guys that I pay. That's sad. I mean, that's literally sad. If anybody has an intent to do the right thing, whether it be a contractor, a subcontractor, or a joint venture partner, they have to have the idea and the spirit to do the right thing. So this conversation is really sensitive to me, I guess you could tell, because I've been in business for 50 years, and I'm still hearing the same thing over and over. What do we got to do to make it work? You got to do this here. Character, capital, capacity. Well, what about them on the other side that's doing all the judging of you, and all of us? Where's their character? Where's their capital? Where's their capacity? Capital to help the small business. Capital to help the small business. I met a gentleman this morning that works with the labor department, labor union. The labor helps. There's your capacity. But it's the guy that you got to meet and know and understand. What's his desire? Does he really want to be in business? Is he worth our time to make him do well? And if you have that spirit and desire to do it, it'll work. I'm telling you, it'll work. Mr. Miller's got buku money out there in the street that's going to go out there. It makes no sense for it to leave New Haven. It's all that work is in New Haven. It makes no sense at all to leave New Haven. Go anywhere else. Put it back into the community. The mayor's looking for it. They're looking for it. The contractors are looking for it. It's up to all of us, those that are in charge and those that are responsible, to make the difference. You guys out there as well. But it's all of us that have to make this difference. It's not just you guys out there. It's us too. Sorry.
No, actually, you inspire me to say something after you. I do agree with Barack, because you have to, and Frank, you said you have to come prepared. And if you're not prepared at the moment, you should not give up. I'll give you an example. I think Preet and VASE tried a joint venture before, right? A few years ago. And we didn't win the work, and they told us exactly why. Because one, we didn't have the experience at the time of doing work with that particular agency, with the housing. And we analyzed the feedback that we got, and it took about 2-3 years, not the same day, 2-3 years, to go back and work on it, waiting for the next round. So we could have been disappointed 3 years ago and said, we will never try this again. Instead, we took what we were told. You have to make sure you have this, you have that, you have this, you have that, and we worked on it. And then on the next shot that we did, we were afforded the opportunity. But it doesn't come easy. 3 years, right? 3 years. So Frank is right. If you don't have the capacity and someone tells you, don't take it offensive. You have to understand where they're coming from. Why? Because they may not want to bring you into something that is destined for you to fail. Because if you're not prepared and they give you the work, they're not doing anyone a favor. So it has to go both ways. And sometimes, I want to make sure I use the right words. Contractors say, we don't have to work, we don't have the opportunities, and sometimes they come to VASE, well, do you know anything? And we spend time and we try to bring work into the room, help into the room, and then, in the last week, we're calling some of these contractors that says, we don't have work, we don't know what to do, we can't get help when we need help. I said, come here, there is everything you need in this room at the Mohegan Sun next week. If you come, you're gonna find work opportunities, you're gonna find the help, the bonding, the insurance, everything you need to get the work done. And some of them didn't show up. So again, you can come back a year from now and say, we didn't get the work, we weren't afforded the opportunity, when you don't show up and get the work. For those of you guys that have showed up and the ones that were here at the lunchtime, did their networking, did their bonding, understood what was happening, I have a feeling that many of us will get work, because that's how it works. So Frank, I agree with you about the capacity and the capabilities, and Barack, you are not out of line at all. I think you just said something that many people were thinking. So.
One more thing, huh? Gave me the mic again. Our joint venture with O&G is something exceptional, and I'm really saying exceptional. O&G is familiar with roads and bridges and big high-rise buildings, completely out of our bailiwick of what we are used to doing. We are familiar with rehab and new small housing, very much familiar with that. And they call us up because they want to understand what it's all about. We submitted an application for qualification. Now, neither one of us really qualified because they didn't do housing, and the housing that we did was so far ago because we had to just diversify and do other construction. We submitted anyway. And the point I'm making, starting from the top, the Housing Authority made a decision to give us this award. Them giving us this award means to us that this is what they want accomplished in the process. Successful projects in budget with minority and small business participation. That's what we have to do. But we all have to have a mindset for that. There's nowhere in between that's conversation or our commitment, nowhere that we say, how can we get out of doing this? It's how best can we accomplish this? And that's what I'm talking about. We need to know and think about how we can be successful in the obligation and the commitment we made. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to touch on the government certifications in a minute, I just want to say one more thing. When we were talking about our character capacity and some of the administrative work, the SBA has 3 sets of resource partners. We have our SCORE chapters, our small business development centers, and we have 3 women's centers. All provide free counseling services, so they can work with you to get your financials in order, your marketing plan in order, whatever it is that you need to do to make your business successful. It's something that they can help you with, and it's free. And they also have workshops on different topics, which may also be beneficial to you. Government certifications is extremely different. It's a whole nother can of worms than the state. They don't recognize each other. It's different databases. So on the government side, there's a database that you need to be registered in. That's SAM, the System for Award Management. Most of the government certifications are administered through my agency, the Small Business Administration. The 8A, which is a business development program for socially and economically disadvantaged businesses, is a 9-year program. The HUB zone stands for Historically Underutilized Business Zones. They're determined by the Census Bureau, and it's based on population and unemployment. And then while you may be a woman-owned business, there's also the woman-owned small and economically disadvantaged woman-owned small. And the economically disadvantaged is based on personal net worth, not ethnicity. There are consultants out there that will charge thousands of dollars to put your 8A package together and submit it to the processing center, and you're going to get the same deficiency letter as if you sat with me and did it for free. The advantage is the processing center is part of my agency, so if I don't agree with what they're asking for you on your deficiency letter, I can get back to them and say, we already submitted this, we don't do that in Connecticut, why are you asking for this, can we submit that instead? So maybe it's a workshop topic that maybe V would want to have where Lisa and I can, because we do workshops on how to do business with the government. So it'd be where you need to be registered, how to find the bids, and then we go through the set-aside programs as well. And we do it for free.
I think one of the things that we discussed recently into next year, more of what we're doing is going to be more strategic, and I really will say that it's going to be for the contractors that want to build their business, that want to have economic growth. We're going to work together. I know that Lisa, we spoke about how VASE and SBA and PTAP and even DAS, we can get together to put on programs for state contractors. One program, bring all of them together and understand exactly how you can build your business by utilizing the free resources. You can get everything for free. You can get your taxes done for free, but you can get consultation about it for free. You can get, Frank to help you with getting your SAM, getting you to be competitive. So we talked about how we're going to implement it, and I think we have a pretty good framework, which we're going to launch as early as next week. So for those of you that are looking to see how this platform works, keep up. SBA and PTAP have a number of training dedicated to helping small businesses and small contractors, like all of us, to grow. So we're going to bring that information or those training and workshops into our platform. we can see how we can also incorporate DAS along with it. Because if I have a nickel for every time a contractor comes to us when it's too late to get the certification, if we can just find a way to get them to do it now, so that we had our certification for years before we ever used it, but it was there when we needed it. We didn't have to go and get it. So we try to encourage companies to do the same. But I think we have a pretty good framework beginning next year where we bring all of these resources that we're talking about into, I guess you can call it a one-stop shop where every contractor, no matter what you're looking for, you can get the state assistance for free, or you can get the work opportunities that are coming up, and you can get the bonding and insurance, everything that you're looking to do so that you can grow your business. Because I think all of us grow. And our theme next year is going to be closing the opportunity gap within the construction industry. Why that theme? Because I think, like many other contractors around, that is what my thinking is. So we're going to do our best by bringing in the resources, the work opportunities, and all of us working together. So again, thank you so much for helping us to put that platform together.
I just had one quick thing. You were asking where to find bid information. A lot of towns and municipalities now post the projects upcoming on their websites, and also like the current and local papers post it towards the back of the paper, like in the personal ad area. You can find a lot there.
I wanted to state, with the federal side, the federal does millions upon millions of dollars worth of construction projects. I have put out notifications for construction projects in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, and we can't get anyone to respond. So it's important that you're looking for those notifications, be part of our program so that you can be on top of these notifications. We had Army Corps of Engineers went out on a bidding for paving in Connecticut, and I only received one response from one of the clients. So they need to hear from minority businesses. They want supplier diversity, they want people bidding, but they can't create the set-asides if no one's going to come forward and say they're interested in bidding. So don't forget about the federal side. Also, our program, the PTAC, we don't just help small businesses, we help all businesses do government contracting. And we have a bid matching program that emails matches to you for federal opportunities at no cost. So please bear that in mind. We are not just a small business program.
Costs money, and you can have all the right certifications.
A lot of our all the banks in the state participate in our programs, but they also have their own lending programs. It could be something that could be structured as a line of credit, so you have something to draw off of, especially in the construction industry. You're putting out a lot of money before you're going to get paid. So maybe a line of credit, so you have something to draw off of before you get paid and use that to pay down. There's okay. Before you even get the job. Okay. Most of those loans you're talking about, that's a line of credit predicated on I have a contract in hand. I don't get the contract in hand. Agreed. There are some that, yeah, but your line of credit, you're not paying on unless you draw off of it. It could be something that's sitting there until you're ready to use it. Okay? You could just go to the bank and just, what am I qualified for? Like, to what dollar amount am I qualified for lending authority for a line of credit, so that you have it in place for when that contract comes. If you had the contract in hand, there's also some banks will use the contract as your collateral. So you get the lending authority that you need, you borrow what it is that you need, you take everything into consideration, your supplies, your payroll, your own working capital, so that when the contract is completed, that it goes right to the bank to pay off the loan proceeds, and then obviously you get what would be your portion of it as well.
Just to add on to the access to capital issue, there's a revamped initiative out of the state of Connecticut's DECD, Department of Economic Community Development. It's called the Minority Business Initiative. And they have it's called the Minority Business Revolving Loan Fund. And it is targeted towards minority businesses in the state of Connecticut up to $100,000. If you go to Minority Business Initiative, DECD, and look at the process for that, they've sort of made a little bit more liberal to get capital into the minority businesses in the state of Connecticut. I advise all of you, if you're looking at something in that capacity for a line of credit or a loan up to $100,000, go to DCD MBI, Minority Business Initiative, okay?
Also, it's important to be mindful of the pay when paid clause of your contract. So I have contractors who will not accept a contract that the terms are paid when paid, because the prime or the general contractor, they're saying they're not going to pay you until they are paid. And your level of effort might be months ahead of when their deadline is. So now you're waiting not only your 30 days, but their 30 days. So now we're up to 90, 120 days before you, the small business, is getting paid. So that's something, before you accept or sign a contract, you need to discuss that with the general contractor or prime contractor, that the pay when paid is not acceptable. You need to negotiate milestone payments. Or especially on the larger efforts, okay, if I deliver this line item, I need to be paid a third of the amount. Or then upon completion, I want to be paid 30 to 45 days from when my effort is done. Don't accept the pay when paid, because that's setting you up. Contractor doesn't care. That general contractor doesn't care. They're going to pay you when they're paid. And if there's a problem and there's punch list items and it's going on and on and on, you might wait a long time for your money. So I know this might be an unpopular thing for me to be telling the small businesses, but you really need to discuss the pay when paid clause with the general contractor before you sign.
I think I can make some suggestions based on our own experiences. I think what I've done and has helped me out is if a GC or an owner is afforded VASE an opportunity to do work with, I want to have that one-on-one discussion about the project, about the start, the finish, the expectation. And then I always ask the question, how's your payment terms? So knowing what the size of the potential work can be and knowing what the payment terms can be, I'm very, sometimes my staff tell me I'm way too brutally honest, but I have to. But what I would say to the GC is, I love this opportunity, but this is what my cash flow is. I can carry for 2 weeks, I can carry for 6 months, depending on what the work is. And I think at that point, it becomes a matter of you being the business owner to make a choice. If the contractor says, well, I'm sorry, I can only do pay when paid, then you have to say no, right? Because, I hate to say this, but you're right. Sometimes bigger companies should give opportunities to small businesses to start, but at the same time, bigger companies working for a much more bigger corporations than we think, and they may not be able to do it. And if they're not able to do it, I think there's plenty of fish in the sea, like we saw in this room. There's plenty of fish in the sea. You don't burn the bridges. You say, okay, thank you, but next time this opportunity comes, here's my capacity. Please, give me a call. And I've done that. I've walked into. I remember we're now the program or construction manager for the city of Milford. When the bid first came out a few years ago, we didn't get it. We weren't selected, but that was because we knew we couldn't carry the capacity. We told them what our capacity was, and as the work was winding down, they called us and said, the work is winding down, we need an extra hand. We think that's what your capacity was. Would you like to work with us? At that point, yes, I could. So we said yes. But that was years, I think actually that was only a year, 2 years later. 2 years later that we did that. So sometimes I think you're right. The pay when paid clause, you have to look at it. But I think also sometimes just having an honest discussion with the GC or an owner might be helpful. And sometimes we have no choice but to start small and gradually get up there. Sometimes I love to do a large size project at SC because I know I can do it. But at the same time, I know I don't have the workforce, the capacity, the financing to carry it competitively with, say, another GC or another prime. So my advice to you in that respect is that just have a frank conversation one-on-one with whoever it is that wants to give you the opportunity and be upfront with them what you can carry and see if they'll give you the opportunity. And if the answer is yes, then proceed. If the answer is no, then say thank you and try the next. But that's why we do networking. So you're not just having to depend on, say, Preet or Gilbane or Tricon to get the work. If one of them cannot do it, go to the next person, and then hopefully, eventually, you'll start growing. VASE expanded from Bridgeport to New Haven because we can build economic growth just being in that one town, and sometimes it just doesn't work in Bridgeport. So we are still in Bridgeport, but we're expanding into New Haven, and then we're expanding into Hartford. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. But I understand what you're saying. I think in the perfect world, I will get the work, I will be paid, I will do the work, and then the bigger company that has all the money in the bank can wait to get paid. But that's not the world we live in, unfortunately. Okay.
We also have what's called a microloan program. It goes up to $50,000, and they're done through micro lenders, so it's non-traditional bank lending, and because of that, they're not regulated like the banks are, so it could be a little bit more easier, open-minded lending. We have 3 in the state of Connecticut. One is Community Investment Corp in Hamden. There is the Community Economic Development Fund in Meriden. And then it's HEDCO, HEDCO in Hartford, but they cover the state. The other advantage is you are assigned a counselor during the term of the loan. So you have a counselor that works with you and meets with you quarterly, unlike what a bank can do, to make sure you're on track. Are your financials where they should be? Is your business plan where it should be? If not, why? What do we need to do to fix it? Okay, so it's another option.
Does the state have I know they are factoring, most factoring companies are private, so therefore the interest might be high. Does the state have like a factoring type program, so therefore if she had an invoice whereas taken into a factoring company that might charge her a lot more, they can bring it to the state and she can say, okay, I need money, here's the work that I've completed, can I get an advancement and pay you when I get the work?
I don't know of any, no, unless it's through the Department of Economic and Community Development, but I don't know of any. I don't know of any. Honestly, I don't know.
All right, thank you. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, we recently, we don't do it on a large scale because we're such a small company, but we know small in the cases that we've worked with, very small minority companies that are doing work for a large project. And sometimes these small companies, they've come to us because they can't hold on for even $2,000 because they're waiting to get paid. That $2,000 is stuck in in multiple bits. So the prime might be waiting for $100,000, and one subcontractor has $2,000. They're waiting to get paid, but the $2,000 means everything to that subcontractor, but they don't have a choice because the prime has to collect all different subcontractors, submit it, and then wait to get paid. And God forbid, paperwork is missing. Now they have to wait. In the meantime, you are stuck in there with the $2,000. And we've helped small contractors in that respect, where we'll advance them so that they can just get going. But it's not easy. So what you're saying is reality. It happens every day among companies. My suggestion or advice for you is start having a one-on-one discussion. Start small. Ask companies to give you small work that you know that you can carry, and ask them for. Don't be afraid to ask for 2 weeks. I ask that all the time. Can I do 2 weeks? I know sometimes it may go to 30 days, but it doesn't hurt to ask. Can you help me out for 2 weeks? Yeah.
Can I just speak to the prints and the blueprints and the bid specs? And if that is an issue, I know there's organizations on the state level for our projects that we have our blueprints at certain locations, so you can go there. So that shouldn't be a burden on you for cost. And I'm thinking out loud, and I'm not sure if this can happen. I'm sure it can. Maybe we could partner with VASE and have some of those blueprints there too for some of these, so that I know that the state is conscious of that, and I can't speak to it directly because it's not my program, but I know that the blueprints are out in the communities in various locations so that people can go look at them. So I can get some more information on that if that's a burden on you, and I'll have some sidebar conversations with V to see if maybe we can start using your organization too to house some of those prints. So more to come on that.
Also, you should be able to go to the contractor construction manager's office and review the plans and review the specifications. And what we do is what you need. Once you decide or realize what sheets you need in the plans, you get the numbers, the sheet numbers on those, and you send them out and have them printed out. That's minimal money. But the point I started with is knowing the character of the person. Now, if being in business is important to you, and that's going to be your livelihood, then there are other sacrifices that you have to make in order to meet those small requirements like drawings and estimates, bid proposals. You've got to be able to do that. There's ways that a contractor or construction manager can help you do that without giving you their whole set of drawings or hoping that you can't afford to buy them and all that. work it out. Sit down, review the drawings, review the specifications, and list what you need. And then they can call and have that done. Go pick them up. It only costs you $25. Those things are the helpful things that we can do and you can work with in doing. If that's what you want to do and that's serious about it, you're willing to do what's necessary. So you don't go to the movies, so you don't go out and eat. You save that money and go buy some set of drawings so you can make more money, go to more movies, and eat more at restaurants. Exactly.
I've been to 10 years, so I make it work. Okay. And I'll say that there are, I understand. Getting to a point where if other major contractors understand there's a big pool of small contractors available if they're willing to do it.
No, we understand. So I think hopefully slowly these meetings and these comments that you receive can help a little bit. Is there any other questions for our panel in terms of the projects that are coming up? No? Okay. So then I will end with, we're going to take the platform that we've developed today and structure in such a way that every single subcontractor that's affiliated with us can know about all of these different projects that's coming up in the New Haven and across the states, and also make sure that you have access to all of the resources afforded by the state and the service vendors and the organizations that are here today. We're still working out the logistics with IT, but the end objective is that you would not have to go to so many different websites for both public and private work, that we bring it to you in a one-stop shop. But along with that is the link to all of the resources that can help you fulfill that work. So if you found a job that you thought you could do, but you needed to get the bond in, you can easily get access dealt in. But if you needed certification, you can easily get access to the DAS, and you can get the application through, so you can get certified. If you needed technical assistance, whatever it is that your need is, we're going to try to bring it in a one-stop shop. But it won't just be the public, but also it will be private work. We're going to welcome small and large, so that every contractor, whatever level that you are in at that particular time, you have the opportunity to do it. We're also working on something where automatically all of the businesses and contractors will get weekly notification in terms of what is coming up that week. So as long as we get all of the potential work and new resources and training that particular week, and we're going to select the day of the week. I think it's Wednesday, right, Eric? I think it's Wednesday. Every contractor will get notification to check to see what is updated. And if you want to receive notification from a specific vendor when they have a training, when they have a workshop, as soon as they bring it through, you can get it. But we're working on some stuff where it can be more streamlined. We can all get things in a timely fashion, get the support, and more importantly, get the work to move forward. This was the first initiation and the platform, and I think this particular discussion and this meeting and today's program so far has given us more ways to lay the platform well. So hopefully, with the billions of dollars worth of work coming up next year, we hope that at the end, and maybe there's sometimes that we may have to work together. It's not always about big companies and small companies working together. It's also about sometimes small companies working with each other or subcontracting with each other in order to get their work done. And when you network, we have to give each other work. Like when I needed a hard hat, I have someone here, so I didn't have to go anywhere else to get it. I got the hard hats, and I purchased from them. Yeah, I have to, because we hire a lot of project managers, 2 of us, and superintendents, and he talked about safety. It's in our own best interest to make sure that everyone that's on our job site have a hard hat. So we had, yes, thank you so much. It was great pricing, and I think we have one here, sample of the hearts that we got here. And vice versa, bonding. We have a bond and insurance agency within this group, so we don't look anywhere else. If it was certification, whether we needed or we've helped so many companies They didn't know how to get the DAS certification. So we said, we know who can do it, and we helped them to, get the paperwork in so that the state can certify them. So I think as contractors, whether you're small, medium, or large, all the resources that you need to grow your business or to build partnership, we can all work on it together, because I believe that the more business everybody gets, the more better we all do. So it can't just be us trying to grow, we have to grow. That's why our resources are all in the room, because if everybody does well, then in the long run, we all do well. We help New Haven Housing meet their mandates. That's helping them with their funders, but at the same time, that's helping everybody here get work. We help Lisa and Meg to certify more businesses so that you can get more work with the state. Everyone wins in this situation. So starting next year, we're going to make sure that that platform is set by, we're going to leave a mark by January 3rd. So our IT, January 3rd. Yes.
You hear about the infrastructure work coming out of Washington. Does anybody hear anything about that?
Oh, I am not aware of that. If you have any information you can send me, I can look into it. Okay.
Oh, the infrastructure. Well, the budgets have to get passed first. So we just started our new fiscal year. The government runs on October to September. A budget was never, so we started our fiscal year 18, and we never really had an actual budget last year. It was kind of piecemeal. We were on a continuing resolution, which is what we're on now. So in the continuing resolutions are really, you continue to operate without money or very little bit of money. So an actual budget has not been passed. Normally they're not passed until February or March. So.
Actually, it's funny. I guess it's appropriate. It's fine. We'd initially, I sent a letter up to the new Secretary of HUD about this program. They actually responded just recently that although the dates did not work for them, this would have been a program that they would have been interested in participating. So to answer that question, I will see if there's anything up there. I'll reach out to them again and see if there's something. Now that I have a direct link over there, I'll find out to see if there's something that is coming up in the pipeline down the line that we're not aware of.
And that would be through the U.S. Department of Transportation, most likely. So you may want to start with
Deborah,
the DOT in Connecticut. Well, anything that's with the highways and bridges, any of that was going to be through the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Is it still Deborah Goss in Connecticut?
We have the DOT in Connecticut, yes.
Okay.
But then there's the U.S. DOT down in Washington.
In Washington.
Yep.
Okay. That's good to know. Any more questions? Well, you guys can, if you're staying overnight, we have a nice small dinner planned at 6 o'clock. I know some of you may not stay, and I know there's a group that's coming at 6 o'clock for the dinner reception. But you're welcome to look around the casino. It's a beautiful casino. There's so much to do. Take a rest if you're staying here. Go upstairs, freshen up, and then come back. And then for dinner, we're going to meet at Salon, I think it's 1, right? Salon 1. It's in the program book. I forgot which one it is. So take a look at it, and then hopefully, it's a fly. And hopefully we'll see you guys again about 6:30 to do some more networking. I think it's my perfume. This fly is just chasing me. But thank you so much again. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Please. I didn't forget this time. I have something for you. I always forget the certificate. Thank you. Please hold on 1 second. I'll bring it to you.